What's up, beautiful souls? Shout out to Transcendence Mental Health. We are putting on monthly retreats. And for those people who might feel called to experience the multidimensional wisdom, unconditional love, and safety of their own soul in a retreat setting, we are facilitating what is called the Heart Protocol. For me, it's been a revolutionary experience which has catalyzed me onto my highest timeline. It has helped me remember who I am, and it has given me a mission upgrade. And we're seeing what Western science calls miracles quite often, but it's actually science. So if you feel called to experience the multidimensional wisdom, unconditional love, and safety of your own soul, we invite you to our next retreat. Check out www.transcendencementalhealth.com. Click begin your journey to book a 15-minute free exploratory call with one of our team members to see if you're a right fit for the Heart Protocol. Shout out to Practical Peptides. If you guys haven't heard about the magic of peptides, check it out. Personally, it's helping so many people, and we're seeing people who are on semaglutide are literally losing approximately 15% of their body weight in a safe way with peptides, which mimic the natural signals of the body. It helps improve insulin levels, helps your blood sugar, helps you lose weight. Also sometimes can help you decrease inflammation. But most importantly, what I'm seeing is a lot of the testimonials are saying it's boosting their self-esteem. And so if you feel called to experience peptides, one of my favorites sometimes I inject is NAD. So NAD is a new medicine which can help decrease brain inflammation, can help heal the gut. But most importantly, I like to use it to increase my energy at the beginning of the day. And one of our intentions is to help each and every single person have the tools necessary to live their best life. So check out www.practicalpeptides.com. We're going to continuously expand our offerings of peptides, and use code Dr. Lee for 10% off. Peace. On to the episode. Let's go. What's up, beautiful souls? Welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Psychiatrist Podcast. Today, man, I'm really privileged and honored, first of all, just to be able to call him my brother, Mr. Amir Suissa. He's been on the spiritual path for decades. He already knew about my spiritual teacher long before I even had met my spiritual teacher. And he's from Switzerland, and we've combined hearts and minds for a spiritual mission to help bring and merge 5D Earth to 3D Earth and spread love and spread the wisdom. And today we have the privilege of going and delving deep into the eternal life wisdom and the 12-strand DNA activation course online. And I couldn't think of anybody better to kind of have like an interview style of going through. Amir is very centered, and he's very able to kind of pinpoint all of the details. So some of you may have already signed up for the 12-strand online DNA course. It's changed my life. It's changed my destiny. It's literally the sound of original sounds which communicate with the potential intron DNA. Scientists used to call junk, to activate this through sound, light, and symbols. And when I started chanting and these techniques in my life, it literally began the processes of putting me on my highest timeline. And that's why they're called the freedom teachings. And so today, Amir and I are going to dive into this and talk about this online course. And Amir's thoughtfully put together all the questions that might be relevant to you. For those people out there wondering, how do I activate my 12-stranded DNA? What are the freedom teachings? What is this? And all the little kind of details and questions that you might want answers to. Amir has thoughtfully kind of typed that out, and we're going to go through some of the wisdom in this format. So welcome to the show, my brother Amir Suissa.
Hello, Brother Sam, and thank you for having me on the show. It's an honor and pleasure to be here. And also, it has been an honor and pleasure to be exposed to the eternal life wisdom in your ceremony that we actually did more or less on the day a year ago in Ibiza, where I had the pleasure to do the Heart Protocol, which was really life-changing. And I got an exposure to the eternal life wisdom and to the 12-stranded DNA course. And I'm really glad to ask the questions today, be the interviewer. So let's shoot ahead.
Yeah. Let's do it, brother. Thanks for being here, man. And yeah, I remember that day very clearly, man. And yeah, thank you for showing up. And I know a lot of people, like when I say, oh, the eternal councils before the ceremony, I say I'm calling in the eternal councils. Very few people believe me when I say that, but they're there before every heart protocol ceremony and every once in a while to a very special soul who they only reveal themselves when they want to, but every once in a while they will pop into a ceremony. And so I know a lot of people don't believe me, but every once in a while they show up.
Absolutely. And I remember when we started the ceremony, you were talking about that, and I was going, yeah, okay, let's get going. And half an hour later, they show up. You know, I see the council, I see the crystal of the grid, and it was amazing. So,
yeah.
First question, what is the eternal life wisdom?
Yeah, great question. The eternal life wisdom is the wisdom that my soul has searched for many lifetimes. It's the culmination of my soul searching for truth. And it's the same wisdom that J9, the biblical Jesus, went to Egypt in the mystery schools with the blue flame Melchizedeks, and from J12, who's actually the true Jeshua, was learning these eternal life teachings. So it's the true teachings from the Melchizedek-Cloister-Emerald Order, which is the true ascension teachings, which is the true history of Mother Earth, which is the science of the 12-stranded DNA on how to activate your inner Christos. The 4th, 5th, and 6th stranded DNA is the soul. The 7th, 8th, 9th stranded DNA is the oversoul, and the 10th, 11th, 12th stranded DNA is the avatar inner Christ. And this was the true message. And every once in a while, when humanity forgets, they send, the Melchizedek-Cloister-Emerald Order sends 3 speakers to help remind humanity about the eternal life wisdom. And these ancient mystery schools used to teach this. The Cathars of France used to have access to some of this information. And when this information starts going out, the religious political environment does not appreciate when this wisdom spreads, because it literally tells people that you are who you've been looking for. Take a look within and you will find you are who you've been looking for the whole time, which is the intron potential DNA. Scientists used to call junk. It's not junk. It's potential DNA. And when you start activating this potential DNA, you don't need a middleman between you and God anymore. You don't need a religion between you and God anymore. You don't need a guru between you and God anymore, because the inner Christos is within you. So this is the science of source. That can, and why is it called eternal life wisdom? Because if you activate your 12-stranded DNA, first of all, it will give you the ability to graduate from Earth, to end your cycle of reincarnations. It will also give you the ability for true ascension with the correct Merkaba speeds, not only to leave Earth, but eventually, hopefully, to be able to embody your inner Christos and transmigrate, blink in, blink out, and take your body with you, if that's something that you choose to do. Is it easy to do? No. But this is the science on how to do that, the science of source, which can lead to eternal life.
So you mentioned the Melchizedek-Cloister-Emerald Order. Maybe you could tell the listeners, what is that, and how did this wisdom come to our planet?
Yeah, great question. So the Melchizedek-Cloister-Emerald Order is, if you want to say the Holy Order, the Unisai is another way you say it. The starting point, it's almost like this top of the Ascended Master chain, food chain, if you want to call it, from which... And Ascended Masters can create new universes and galaxies. So the Melchizedek-Cloister-Emerald Order is almost like the top of that. Some people call it Ra, the starting point, the center point of all of creation, from which this 15-dimensional universal time matrix stems from in this 15 time matrix. So it's like the starting point, the original entity of the Ascended Masters, which created and helped form, if you want to say, this planet, not only planet Earth, but the 15-dimensional universal time matrix, including Sirius B, and so when you help create something, you also take responsibility for it. So for the last 35,000 years or so, they've been the host matrix responsible for ascension for Earth. And so there's a verse in the Bible, for example, that's talk about Jesus. They say up in Hebrews chapter 10 or 11 or something like that, a priest in the order of Melchizedek forever. Now, make no mistake about it, just like humans do, they take the original teaching and they make derivatives of it. So now on Earth, there's a whole bunch of different Melchizedek branches, and a lot of them have fallen or dark flowered, if you want to call it, the Alpha Omega Melchizedek branch, right? I am the Alpha, the Omega, right? Or the one, the Mormon Church has created a Melchizedek priesthood. And even in the book Alchemist, in the very beginning, before the alchemist, the character goes on his journey, he's met by Melchizedek, right? So it's the creator founders of this universal time matrix who has been responsible for the ascension. And I come from the Melchizedek-Cloister-Emerald Order. Iani is what some people call it. And so it's a royal priesthood, energetic priesthood, similar to the term Ra, the starting point, Ascended Master Collective, from which created the 15 Universal Matrix, which in the past has been responsible for the ascension. So when humanity forgets the true ascension teachings, the Melchizedek-Cloister-Emerald Order sends 3 speakers to translate 3 books to remind humanity of the true ascension teachings.
And who is the latest speaker? I heard and read about Ashiana and about also the language Anuhazi Mua. Maybe tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the Christ period, the Christ timeline, the 3 speakers that were sent were J12, the 12th level avatar, not the biblical J9, 12th level avatar known as Jeshua, John the Baptist, as well as Miriam, the half-sister of Jesus in that timeline. And they were all contracted by the Melchizedek-Cloister-Emerald Order to write 3 books each, right? And so they did write 3 books. John the Baptist was, killed before he could complete his translation. Miriam did write 3 books, but these books were systematically destroyed and changed because they're the true teachings which teach the ascension teachings. And they were systematically destroyed and changed. And some of these teachings were at the canonized Bible, at the Council of Nicaea. Some of them, they take 80% truth and they twist 20% of it. For example, Drone Velo Melchizedek right now is teaching a Merkaba spin. If you follow that Merkaba spin, you're not going to get off Earth, right? And so a lot of these teachings have been twisted and manipulated. But in this particular timeline, Miriam, the half-sister of Jesus, reincarnated into this timeline as Ashiana, and she was contracted and taken as a young age and trained. She was trained by the Melchizedek-Cloister-Emerald Order to be able to complete her speaker contract. And in this timeline, she was speaker number 1, and she wrote 2 books, Voyagers 1 and Voyagers 2. And now there's a lot of rumors. And I don't want to say what is true or what is not. I say everybody do your own research, but her teachings before 2012 are the ones that I really resonate with. Anything after 2012, I don't necessarily resonate with those teachings. And, you can do your own research to figure out why. I'm not here to, tell other people why. But, and she was speaker number 1. John the Baptist, reincarnated into this timeline, was her actually ex-husband, which is Michael Dean. He's since passed away. He came to me in a vision before. So all of these things that I'm talking about are not just something that I've read. They're actually things. As soon as he passed away in a ceremony, he came to me and he was clapping and he was clapping and he was cheering me on. So a lot of these things that I'm saying, I know it sounds kind of far out there, but there are actually things that I'm experiencing in my hologram, just like when I told you about the eternal councils, when I say the Source River Frequencies prayer. I know people don't believe me, but when they show up in your hologram, once you know, you cannot not know. So shout out to Ashia and Adine. I mean, I don't think people really understand the level of dedication, the level of commitment, devotion that it takes to hold this wisdom and to translate this wisdom. It's a lot. I mean, you're going to be called false prophet. You're going to be called, and not only called these things, like literally, it's the narrow path, which means that there's going to be resistance. There's going to be people who condemn you. There's going to be, and so, and not only that, the more you know what I mean? The more knowledge that you know, it's a lot to hold it and to teach it and to stay pure. So shout out to Asha and Nadine for her lifetime in this lifetime, for bringing through the translations, her devotion and commitment to humanity to bring through this wisdom.
So you mentioned, a language and translations, and the language is Anuhazi Mua. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, great question. So the Elohai, Seraphai, Braharama, and that's where people get these words. The original eternal life founders races, if you want to call it. Braharama, you've heard that word. Elohim, you've heard that word. Seraphim, you've heard that word. Well, it comes from the Elohai, Seraphai, and Braharama, which are the original eternal life founders races. And they were the ones this is the original language that they spoke. And if you want to know what a chair is for, right? Okay, yeah, it's to sit down on, sure. But, okay, ask the creator who made the chair, why did you put this groove there? Why did you put this design there? What was the original intention of this chair, right? In the same way, when you want to know what is a human body for, right? All of the intricate details, ask the original eternal life founders races, the Elohai, Seraphai, Braharama, and they spoke a language which was called Anuhazi Mua, which is the first light language in this universe, from which all other languages in this universe come from this language. And so the human potential DNA, 90-something% of the DNA that scientists used to call junk, it's actually not junk. They were only looking at what they can see. It's actually potential DNA. But the language to activate the potential DNA is sound. And the original light language, Anuhazi Mua, when you start chanting in this language, it's like the sound is slowly, because even though the human DNA has been messed with and mutated, the actual morphogenetic field, or the blueprint for the 12-stranded DNA, is still there. So when you speak this language, Anuhazi Mua, the original light language, it starts slowly, the sound starts communicating with the potential DNA, and the morphogenetic field, the blueprint, slowly, little by little, naturally, gradually starts paving in, once again, materializing and making real the 12-stranded DNA. And the 4th, 5th, and 6th-stranded DNA is the soul. The 7th, 8th, 9th-stranded DNA is the oversoul. The 10th, 11th, 12th-stranded DNA is the avatar Christos. So long story short, it's the original light language, which literally communicates with the potential intron DNA to gradually, naturally start reactivating the inner Christ.
That's fascinating. We'll come to talk about the 12-stranded DNA in a moment. But before that, tell me a bit, how did you find this path? What drew you to it? And what drew you to it? What were your steps in learning it? And why did you like it? What was the magnetism and the truth that you found there?
Yeah, great question. As a young kid, I believe that everything we go through in the past is preparing us for what's to come. So as a little kid, my hero was Jesus Christ. I fell in love with the biblical Jesus at the age of 16, and that was my teacher. So I would follow everything, the Bible, read the Bible. I would read all the books. I would, so this was, my path, and I could feel love from that path, and it was quite beautiful. And then I started going into yoga, became a yoga teacher, became a breathwork instructor. Then I started going into all the different plant medicines, went to a Tibetan, Buddha, retreat. And I started studying all this ancient wisdom, started chanting in Gurumukhi, pumping Kundalini. And all of this was actually slowly preparing me to even be a little bit open-minded to this wisdom. So Kundalini energy, I was pumping for, 2 years. literally is dimensions 1 through 9, which lives at the bottom of the spine. Some call it the Kundalini, the primal 8 cells that from which, the dimensions 1 through 9. Tesla said 3, 6, 9 are the secrets of the universe, right? So you can lift dimensions 1 through 9 and tickle your pineal gland and start activating your multidimensional self. So I was doing that for 2 years, and all of this slowly started preparing me for this wisdom. And when I was, learning about the heart protocol and living and facilitating the heart protocol, I found this wisdom, or this wisdom found me. And I started with Jerry Duhenio Rivera's podcast, Jerry Unfiltered. Shout out Jerry. He actually shadowed Ashia Nadine and lived with Ashia Nadine and literally studied this wisdom for 10 years. And he started releasing his wisdom on his podcast. And the universe literally just connected me, like it was magical, like it wanted me to hear this wisdom. So long story short, it connected me with this wisdom. And when I started listening to it, it was blowing away every single one of my. I couldn't understand it, first of all, because the vocabulary was so complex. But I could feel the energy of the wisdom. And, in the beginning, it was very, very difficult for me because something resonated as true, but it was blowing away my paradigms, and I could only understand like 20% of it. So I was, even after all that preparation. So, when I was cleaning my house, I would listen for 20 minutes. And then I said, I can't take anymore. It was like that. Also, the frequency is so high that it was literally like, it literally can like make you tired when you listen to it for too long. It's a powerful frequency. And so, I would listen to it for 20 minutes at a time. And eventually I got to a point where I said, this is either true or it's completely bullshit. Because the level of detail of the science that it goes into was so complex that I started to understand that, nobody can make this up. It's the level of detail was so insane that I was like, this is either true or it's not. And so for me, I call myself an investigative experiential psychiatrist. So I had to experience it. So I said, okay, let me try this. So, I went to one of Jerry's retreats. And I started, then the way I am, if I find something, I go all in. So I started listening to all the podcasts, and then eventually I did the Flame Bodies course, and the Flame Bodies course is 20 techniques which realign your 12-strand DNA potential. And I did it. And while I was doing these 20 techniques, I couldn't deny the energy I was feeling. Energy doesn't lie. So I started feeling some types of energy. And then I started realizing, okay, then I started chanting in Anuhazi Mua. And when I started chanting regularly in Anuhazi Mua, the DNA projects the hologram, and this was working on my potential DNA, right? The things that started happening in my hologram, I won't even go too far into it, but were undeniably in resonance with what the wisdom was teaching. And things started happening in my hologram, which were miraculous, which I cannot deny. I cannot deny my own experience. And so my outside life started reflecting my inside life. And at that point, on February 26, 2022, I was energetically ordained into the Melchizedek-Cloister-Emerald Order. And now it's my passion to share this wisdom, because at the end of the day, Kundalini was helpful. Yoga was helpful. All these things were helpful. But it didn't set me free completely. Like, I knew that this wisdom was helpful, but it wasn't like I wasn't free. And this wisdom is slowly starting to set me free. And I think that's the goal for every single human being, is to be free, to be completely free. And that's why they call it the freedom teaching. So long answer there, but that's how the wisdom found me.
Yeah, and I feel it'd be interesting for the listeners to actually hear what specifically, if you're willing to share, changed in your life once you really embodied and practiced these teachings.
Yeah. I always say, people say highest timeline. Cool. But I say now, what I say after I found this wisdom, I say highest destiny. My purpose in life, you can say is to be me, and is to spread love. But when these teachings found me, it's almost like it closed the chapter on a certain level of purpose, and it opened up a level of purpose, which I can say is my highest, not only purpose, but my highest destiny, and not only for me, but for humanity. So the end path of all spiritual paths is service, but the level of service that this wisdom has opened me up to for humanity and the potentiality of what is possible is like something that has never ever been done before. And it's exciting because I think what people really want is purpose. And, I think that it's literally up-leveled my purpose to something that I could never even imagine or dream or write up.
Beautiful. So I understand that you, out of the conviction and out of the personal impact that you had from these teachings, you then decided to create a course in order to bring this, to a wider public. So tell me about the 12-stranded DNA course that you created.
Yeah. So once this wisdom found me, for about 3 or 4 years, I was just holed in an Airbnb. I would do, I was literally just ingrained and engulfed in this wisdom. It was like Friday night in Austin, Texas, the music capital city of the world. I'm sitting there in a corner wall studying this wisdom. And so I was studying, and I was learning about it and remembering, if you want to call it. And then from there, in Voyagers 2, Ashana Dean has this section where she talks about the most quickest, rapid way to activate your 12-stranded DNA. And she lists it out in order. And, when you find a pot of gold, for example, when Jesus in the Bible, J9 in the Bible, talks about, this guy found a pot of gold underneath the earth, right? He sold everything he had to buy that piece of land, to find that, to find that treasure. And for me, when this wisdom found me, this was that treasure. My time, my money, and everything was devoted to remembering this. Why? Because not only is it going to activate my potential DNA, not only is it going to help me be free, but it's also my ticket out of reincarnation, my ticket out of Earth. It's also my ticket to my highest destiny. It's also my ticket. And when you leave Earth, all you can take with you is your character, who you become, your relationships, love, and what you learn, the spiritual wisdom that you learn, you can take on with you from lifetime to lifetime. And so for me, that's the treasure, right? And so I literally, studied it religiously for 3 or 4 years. And then at that time, I got a clear signal: take the quickest way to activate your 12-stranded DNA, and take what Ashana Dean wrote in Voyagers 2 and translate it into a course. And so I took those steps, and that's what I did. I did my best to follow those steps and translate it into a rapid 12-strand DNA activation course. And that's how the course came about.
So what's in the course? What can somebody that wants to do it expect? What's the structure?
Yeah, great question. So it's 16 videos that I've created, introduction to the wisdom, introduction to Anuhazi Mua, and 16 videos and 12 techniques. And so all of these techniques are sacred songs, if you want to call it, sounds, in the original light language Anuhazi Mua. So there's 12 sacred songs, which I put in specific order. The first one is going to be, if you want to call it, the Akasha Quickseal meditation. And this one is the symbol. You breathe it in, optical pineal induction, and you literally start strengthening your auric field with a sacred symbol, the Akasha God Seed symbol, which is going to start activating substrands of DNA strand 12. It's also going to put a protection bubble around you. So higher oscillation and trains lower vibration. So when you have a 12-strand 12th dimensional protection field around you, it's going to protect you from EMFs, and not only that, but like astral attacks, astral cording, so many different types of things. And I never believed in protection before. I always used to say like, oh, my protection is love. I'm just love. I'm just love. Until I started realizing like there were energies and entities that were disembodied, as well as not only to mention 5G, 6G, 7G, all these environmental toxins. So that's technique one. And then so I start in a very systematic way and there's a reason why I go from technique 1 to technique 2 to technique 3. And it's 12 techniques in the original light language, Anuhazi Mua, that have been designed in a way to start naturally, gradually, slowly reactivating your 12-stranded DNA potential, as well as giving you protection, eventually ending your cycle of reincarnations. And so it's the quickest way I'm aware of. And it worked for me. And that's why, I'm starting to share it now.
And what are some practical ways to integrate these techniques into daily life?
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings is take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And so, for example, there's certain songs that will resonate. And it's a good thing because it means your DNA is oscillating, vibrating with the song, which means that for this particular time in your life, that sacred song probably is a good one to practice. So that's what I always say is like, I would recommend people to go through all 12 techniques, but then from there, really pay attention and listen with their own DNA to which sacred songs are resonating with them and practice those, and there'll be different songs that resonate at different times in their life. And for example, I was praying one day and I was told the Source River Frequencies prayer to send it to one of my, dear friends. So I sent it to my friend. And she says, she started practicing and chanting it religiously. And, she says within 30 days of chanting, 3-4 times a day, every single thing that was not in alignment with her life literally just left out of her life. It all left, right? So it's a powerful frequency when you're praying some of these prayers. There's one particular, sacred song which is going to help clear trauma out of the body and karma out of the body, the Sacred Secret Song. So there's a different type there's one song called Invocation to the Deity, which is when you chant that prayer and you're literally communicating with your potential. So I chanted that one religiously for about 30 days because what I was really trying to do is it says, my one and only pure desire is eternal at one-ment with Source, and it's divine eternal truth and divine eternal splendor. And when I started chanting that one regularly all the time and, eventually memorized it, it literally started communicating with my DNA that my one and only pure desire is at one-ment with original eternal source consciousness field. And if you make that your one and only pure desire, every other lesser desire will manifest in perfect divine right timing, harmony, and order. So I was chanting that one, but all these other things started happening in my life when I started making that my one and only pure desire. So there's many different types of sacred songs in the list. And, I always say, take what resonates, leave what doesn't.
Beautiful. So the course is a self-paced, self-study course. How can the participants measure their progress throughout the course, and what kind of support is available if participants have questions or need guidance?
Yeah, great question. You just like anything in life, you reap what you sow. You get out what you put in. And so for me, for 4 years, I went very, very hard. And even to this day, every morning, probably like 2 to 3 times a day, I pray the Source River Frequencies prayer. It's like my eating. It's like taking a spiritual shower for me. And so you're going to get out what you put in, right? So in the very beginning, I used to chant almost all of these sacred songs, almost daily. That's like an hour and a half practice, hour and a half practice, right? And so, you get what you put in and you reap what you sow. So what I would say is, really going through the course and once again, arranging the sacred songs in a way that resonates with you. And if you can only do 30 minutes a day, that's great. Do that. But, I can say is like, it works. It's a frequency. Feel the energy, right? Feel your energy before and after. If you want to heal anything, go to where it first started. In the beginning, God said, let there be light. Sound becomes light. God said. And sound, you want to heal anything, go to sound. But this is the original sound. of sounds. And so, my recommendation would be to arrange the songs in a way that resonate with you. If you only have 30 minutes, 40 minutes, cool. After you go through the course, and then chant it and be consistent with it each and every morning. And, how can you measure? Well, like for me, I can only say what happened with me. My holograms, once again, I had a mission upgrade. I started meeting all kinds of interesting people. The synchronicity started increasing. People started finding me out of nowhere. And it was so much so that I wasn't even ready for what was happening in my hologram. So it can literally accelerate your mission. It can accelerate and synchronize yourself into your highest timeline, but eventually, if you're regular with it, your highest destiny. So that's how I would measure it, is your DNA projects your hologram. So just pay attention to waking dream messages, if you want to call it, synchronicities that start happening in your hologram if you're consistent with the wisdom. The support is, you can reach out to Transcendence Mental Health if you have questions on the program. I've re-recorded the program, so I'm in the processes of recreating on post-production on the back end to make it easier to understand, with weekly homework assignments, which will help you understand the wisdom into a 12-week course that's being worked on. If you purchase the current course right now, when the revised course comes out, would be happy to ensure that you have access to the revised course as well.
Beautiful. And when are you expecting the revised course to be out?
Good question. Everything on my end is done. So we reshot it. I arranged the format, and now it's in the hands of a dear brother who's in post-production with it. So it's really up to them. My hope is within 3 months is my hope.
And you mentioned earlier on the Flame Bodies course. How did that feel? How did that fit in with the 12th Stranded DNA course?
Yeah, great question. So, the Flame Bodies is 20 techniques which were given to help rearrange the 12-stranded DNA potential. So if you want to imagine over the course of many thousand years, and sometimes millions of years, the original celestial human DNA has been fucked with. It's been mutated. There's been interbreeding. There's been literally DNA seals that have been put on it. And so a lot has happened with the original celestial human DNA. And so the Flame Bodies are 20 techniques which are going to help rearrange to remove the seals and to get the DNA almost like a ladder, so that 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is completely in order, so the frequencies can flow in a like a waterfall in a pure crystallized way. And so if the ladder has been messed with and steps have been removed and rungs have been removed, you have to rearrange the ladder, right? And so the Flame Bodies is the 20 techniques that can really help rearrange kind of the 12-stranded DNA to be in rearranged flow again, in perfect harmony, if you want to call it, so that the frequencies can flow from 12 all the way down. So I did the Flame Bodies course. If and when you sign up for the course, you'll receive a link. And this link it's a lot. I'm just going to warn you, it's almost like all of the eternal life wisdom I can find. And it's not easy to filter through it. I'm just going to be honest. It's a lot of wisdom. But it's somewhere in there, in the link that I send with all of the wisdom, there is a link to the Flame Bodies. And the Flame Bodies are 20 techniques that can help you rearrange your 12-strand DNA potential.
And the user can learn it on, and they're also self-paced, the Flame Bodies. Is there any guidance there, or how is that organized?
Yeah, I'll probably add, there's kind of like PDF file which tells you exactly how to go through it. So I don't think I have that yet, but I have it with me, but I'll definitely add that as an addition to the course. So I will send that over to the team, and the team will make sure that how to do the Flame Bodies, that PDF is attached.
And you mentioned the songs before. I mean, can I imagine them to be like like mantras that I can recite? And is there any support where I can hear and read and recite them in parallel?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, yeah, they are like mantras. Some of them are repetitive, some of them aren't, but they're original in the Anuhazi Mua language. And for about 8 out of 12 of those songs, there is a sacred song book, which will come as part of the course. You'll see it. It's a PDF. It's a sacred song book. Out of 12 of those have the words, and so you can kind of like read along with the songbook. And then I've also created a SoundCloud playlist and did my best to record sacred songs. And so you can use the songbook to sing along with the music, which I've already created on SoundCloud. So, or you can create your own version if you want. But yeah, so I have a SoundCloud playlist with all of the songs in order, and then I have a songbook, which literally you can kind of tone and sing along with. You know, personally though, I like to just listen to the playlist, and then I like to just almost like repeat after the words, right? So like, you know, when I'm listening to the playlist, I'll kind of repeat along with it. But in the very beginning, the songbook was helpful to help me slowly start encrypting the words.
Is there anything specific within the course that you would like to highlight or go over through when our conversation now?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I just want to highlight that you are who you've been looking for. Take a look within and you will find you are who you've been looking for the whole time. But look within where? Into the intron potential DNA. When you activate your 4th, 5th, and 6th stranded DNA, you're embodying your soul, and you're going to be able to end your cycle of reincarnations. And not only that, like, how can I say, you know, all of this ancient wisdom that we are taught, as you start going deeper into it, it all starts making sense. For example, like the Native Americans would say, like, the Great Spirit, you'll never understand its mystery. But actually, no. Spirit is an ether Jaleesic radiation on the unmanifest side of creation that infuses itself into everything. There's an explanation to this. Is where spirituality and science are one. For example, when Jesus told the woman at the well, if you drink from the water I give you, it shall become unto you a well of everlasting water, and ye shall never thirst again. Oh, okay. 4 feet above the head. He was learning this in Egypt. Oh, there is if you want to call it a window, if you want to call it, where frequencies can flow with early morning sun gazing with specific sound tones and symbols. And right here on top of the duct, there's an etheric duct which can start producing pre-eternal living water hydrolase. And once you activate it within yourself, what you have, you can share with someone else. And I know I'm saying these things, but actually in a ceremony, the pre-eternal living water hydrolase was showed up in a ceremony. So like, I'm talking about things, yes, but it's also being, revealed in my hologram, right? So it's not just things I'm talking about. So that's what Jesus was talking about. Because he had activated himself, he had opened his duct, he was offering the lady the eternal living water pre-hydrolase. Jerry Duhenio Rivera wrote a whole PhD paper about this. You can find it online for free. A whole PhD paper about hydrolase, which is the eternal living water. And so all of these ancient things that people used to talk about, the search for the everlasting fountain. These are all real things. Just like human beings have third dimensional, but we're multidimensional. Water is multidimensional as well. And so, all of these ancient concepts that we used to think we'll never understand are actually, no, it's spirit and science. Spirituality and science are the same thing. So like in some ways, I call this the science of source. And so, yeah, I feel like, for me, that's fascinating. Like, and you can take this information and knowledge with you. You're never going to forget lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. So I personally feel like it's something worth investing into to learn the science of source.
Beautiful. Would you like to chant any of the chants that we have time for that in this conversation?
Sure. This is one kind of a staple one here, and I'll play it. It's Invocation of the Avatar. So this is in ancient Mua Anuhazi, and it's it's the language, and there's a pineal induction, so there's a symbol that I look at. I breathe in the symbol, and I imprint it on every single DNA strand. Remember, the DNA, the intron potential DNA, the language is sound, light, and symbols. So I imprint the symbol, and this is the song. When you start chanting this song, you start inviting your 12-stranded avatar Christos, Maharata it's called, into your hologram and start activating substrands of the 12-stranded DNA. So this is called invocation of the Maharata.
Ma by Victor, Yunure amo, iste unta isa trajahe, hera patate umma ashalum taija intadoe, shada ure akunta. Shada ure akunta. Shadaure akuntan Marata kumbai vectus Inevoca uniclium ba vecta Ma by vecta Inude amo Iste unta isa trajahe Hera patate umma ashalum taija intadoe shadaure akuntan shadaure akuntan shadaure akuntan.
So I repeat that 3 times. And that's invocation of the avatar, invocation of the Maharata. And it's like a basic foundational song, which starts invoking the 12D avatar Christos self. The translation is, I now by divine, eternal, loving command invoke by the power of the universal Christos, my D12 avatar Christos self for Samuel Pyeong-sung Lee, into this, yeah, and so there's like a whole translation in English of what you're saying, but you're invoking, you're calling in your 12D avatar Christos self into this life. And that's one of the songs.
Beautiful, thank you. So how much does a person need to invest in terms of time and resources if they want to, join the course, and then how do they join the course?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a self-study program on the revised course, which will be released hopefully in like 3, 4, 5 months. I literally arranged it so there's homework assignments, reading assignments, and all these different things. In this particular course, it's a self-study course. What I mean by that is you are who you've been looking for. You reap what you sow. And so my recommendation would be to, the videos aren't that long. They're like 10, 20 minutes long. And so there's 16 videos. So, over the course of, a week or 2, go through all of the videos, have your PDFs, and just get an idea. So that will take like a week or 2. Some people can probably do it in a week. And then from there, you download the Sacred Songbook, and then you find the songs that resonate with you. If you're an overachiever, go through every single song every morning. That's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, it's not unreasonable, right? Dr. Joe, has his his people who learn about Dr. Joe's wisdom, they meditate for 2 hours every single morning. Once again, you're going to get in what you put in. You put in what you put out. And so once you start, it's going to take a little bit of learning curve to learn the songs. But once you have the playlist in order, you just go through every morning. If you only have 30 minutes, do 30 minutes. And like I said, though, my friend who literally listened to Source River Frequencies religiously, just one song, the Source River Frequencies prayer, and did it religiously and learned it and chanted it religiously, within 30 days, everything that was out of alignment in her life was gone. Right? So those are some kind of ideas of how you can start working with the wisdom. And then the reading, I don't recommend. Don't try to like read everything at once. Start with the MCEO primer. It's like 50 pages that you can read that in a day, which will give you an idea. And then there's Intro to Chaotic Science PDF. You can read that one and start with those two. And then from there, there's like so much there that I just say after that, like go with what resonates. And then if you need like references, like there's Voyagers 2, which you're going to get a PDF of. You're also going to get a PDF of and so, by the way, Voyagers 2 is like $700 online. So you're going to get an electronic copy of that. What can I say? So an Ascension Dictionary and Ascension Glossary online. Like if there's certain terms that you're not aware of, I don't understand what this term is. If you look it up on Ascension Dictionary and Ascension Glossary, or in the back in the appendix of Voyagers 2, those are good places to start. Start by reading the MCO primer, Intro to Chaotic Science PDFs. You're going to have to filter through all of the wisdom to find that. But then once you do that, then you can kind of just go with what interests you and start reading about that. And then if you need reference points, go to Ascension Glossary, Ascension Dictionary online.
And where can a person buy the course?
It's on, so at the bottom of this podcast, there's going to be a link, 12-strand DNA activation course. You can click on that. It's transcendencementalhealth.com under courses. And then you can use the code INJOY, enjoy, capital, for 75% off. And listen, I'm just going to address this right now. And it's, money is what collective third dimensional consciousness has agreed to for energy exchange. So your energy is just as important as my energy. My energy is just as important as your energy. It's all energy. Money is energy. It's just a unit of energy. And so I know a lot of people in spirituality are stuck in scarcity mindset. I used to be. But abundance is a frequency. And science has shown when you don't give anything in exchange for what you're receiving, oftentimes you don't even appreciate it. Oftentimes you're not even going to go into the wisdom. Oftentimes you're not going to have this motivation because you didn't give anything for it. It was just given to you for free, right? And so I considered like giving this course for free, but then after a while, it's like, actually my 4 years and lifetimes on lifetimes on lifetimes on lifetimes on lifetimes of searching for the truth, and then spending the last 4 years studying this, and then spending all of the time rearranging this into a course, and then spending the time shooting the videos, that's worth something. And so that's why I've priced the course at what I've priced it. And if it's not worth it to you, cool, no problem. But that's why, but I'm giving the 75% discount code. Like I said, for me, this is the precious pearl that Jesus talked about. When you find this wisdom, you sell everything you have to find it. That's what it is for me. Why? Because it's put me on my highest destiny. It's setting me free. It's literally giving me a deeper purpose. And it is my ticket of cycle out of reincarnation. And that's not like, I'm not just saying that, it's a science. It's a science. When you start activating your upper stranded DNA, you can, start taking your body. In fact, I've already had an opportunity to leave. So I'm just, I'm not talking about anything that, I haven't experienced, right? So, and that's why it's priced at what it is. And if, you really feel called to it, but you can't afford it, no problem. Shoot us an email. We're happy to work with you. Okay.
Thank you. And maybe the last question, how does the course and this wisdom connect to the heart protocol?
Yeah. So in one of my ceremonies, what I said was 4 ceremonies. I've got the formula, and this is what I said in one of my ceremonies. Four ceremonies, and then the eternal life wisdom. 4 ceremonies, then introduce them to the wisdom. Because for most people out there, Like I said, when I first found this wisdom, even after studying Tibetan Buddhism, Kundalini yoga, yoga teacher, breath work, Christianity, it was a lot. It was a lot for me. It's very, 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 very advanced. And if I found this wisdom 5 years ago, like I'd be like, it wouldn't resonate with me. So there was a preparation phase that I had to do to find, this wisdom had to find me. And so, yeah, the heart protocol is a safe, precise formula, which almost 100% of the time, people are going to have a multi-dimensional experience. And the greatest lie ever told to humanity is that we're third dimensional. We are multi-dimensional. The problem is most of humanity doesn't want to know. They've been brainwashed to believe that they're just supposed to be in a 3D frequency fence, that they should just live for retirement, that they should try to stay 72 degrees and comfortable. But it's actually on the edges we grow. So the heart protocol in the middle of a psychedelic revolution, in my belief, is the safe, consistent, not crunchy, powerful way to experience your multi-dimensional self. And once you know, you cannot not know. So I think it's a good way for people to experience their multi-dimensional self. Not only to mention, it's a lot of people are healing trauma with it. A lot of people are curing addiction with it. A lot of people are getting a deeper purpose with it. But everybody's different, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say that happens every time. It doesn't. But it's a safe, consistent, powerful way to experience your multidimensional self. And once you know, you cannot not know. And oftentimes people are feeling the love and gratitude, and they're healing sometimes past lives. And so it's a really kind of beautiful introduction. And oftentimes why I say 4 is for some people, the first ceremony is working on themselves. The second ceremony, 3-4 months later, is working on their friends and family. The third is now calling in their tribe. And the fourth is usually by the time you clear all those things, then it's about your service to humanity, right? So there's kind of a flow of healing yourself and healing your family, and then healing your tribe, and then finding your tribe, and then your service to humanity, right? So that's why I think I said in the ceremony 4 heart protocol ceremonies, and then introduce them to the wisdom, because at the end of the day, the wisdom is what's going to really end your cycle of reincarnations, put you on your highest destiny, and all of those things, depending on how much you decide to put in. So I think they're intimately connected. And not only that, there's a deeper connection for me personally, because a lot of the stuff that I'm studying in the wisdom is actually manifesting in the ceremonies. So in my last ceremony in Ibiza, the 12 strand, I was literally told the 12 stranded DNA potential for humanity has been restored. Right? So a lot of work is being done in the heart. You were there, right? Yeah. And so, and then also sometimes the councils will show up, and sometimes people will go to ancient Egypt and start speaking in a foreign language, an ancient warrior language, and breaking parasitic contracts that were made in Egypt that no longer serve humanity. So literally rewriting the past. Literally sometimes people will pop out of the ceremony and say, hey, I was on the Christ timeline with Christ. So a lot of these timelines, which are being verified, Atlantis, for example, the wisdom talks about Atlantis, the true history of Mother Earth. Oftentimes people are having visions of Atlantis. In fact, the queen of Atlantis and her, is being healed. That timeline is being healed in the heart protocol ceremony. So we're literally rewriting the past. And this is all of the things the wisdom talks about, the true history of Mother Earth. So a lot of this wisdom is being verified in the heart protocol. So they're intimately linked together, as far as, for me, when I'm facilitating and the wisdom that I'm learning.
Beautiful. So thank you for all this information. And if you guys want to check out the heart protocol or the 12-stranded DNA course, check out the links in the comments, and we're happy to support you in your journey.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Amir. To find a brother of your caliber of character and your caliber of spiritual intelligence, as well as your ability to be centered and build and understand the attention to details, and also the beautiful example of sacred partnership that you and Alice, your partner, display. It's very rare to find, so I'm forever grateful to call you a brother. And so thank you so much for taking the time to hop on this show and with me. And yeah, if you guys resonate, check it out in the show links. Activate your 12-stranded DNA rapid self-realization course. Activate your inner Christos. Use code capital INJOY for 75% off. Yeah, till next time, love, light, peace, and truth to all sentient beings. Peace.